Welcome back to Legalese 123, where we are covering cases across America. Hello, and welcome back to Legalese 123. I'm your host, CK. It is Friday, the day after Thanksgiving, November the 28th. And you know what that means? It's Friday Case Catch Up. Did you think we weren't going to have a stream because of the holiday? You're wrong. There's been so much going on this week. Did you think nothing was going to happen? I thought nothing was going to happen. And then things just pop, 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 pop. Things are popping off. So we have to do a case catch up because every one of our cases, something's going on. It's like bananas. I don't know. Maybe the court's like, okay, let's get these off the calendar. Let's go, let's go, let's go. So I hope you guys had a wonderful Thanksgiving with your family and friends, or however you spend your Thanksgiving. Hopefully you got enough turkey and stuffing and all of the good things. Let me know in the comments, what is your favorite dish for Thanksgiving? I heard a lot of people talk about salads that aren't really salads because that's sort of like a Midwestern thing, like a fluff salad with Jello and marshmallows. Is that even a salad? Does a salad require vegetables, or is it like a fruit salad? Remember the Australian, I forget their name. It was they go fruit salad, fruit salad. Anyways, you know what I'm talking about. So, what do we got? What are we gonna talk about today? Oh, well, first I want to share this lovely thing. I found this and it says, I need a job that isn't too jobby, or I can do work that's not so worky. So here we are. We're doing some work that's not so worky and a job that's not so jobby. Anyways, it's super fun. All right, here we are. Friday case catch up. We're going over the same cases that we've been going over for the past several weeks. And why? Because they're so interesting. If you have a case that you're interested in, you want to hear more about, or that's interesting to you, put it in the comments and I'll add it to our playlist. So, what is popping off? Well, we're going to start off, as you know, Brian Walshe versus Massachusetts. Brian Walshe is accused of killing his wife, Anna Walshe. He had dismembered her body and put her body parts in several places throughout Cohasset in the dumpsters. He was charged with 3 different counts: murder, lying to the police, and improperly disposing of a body. Earlier, not this week, the week prior to that, he pled guilty to the second count and the third count. So he pled guilty to lying to the police because they said it hindered the investigation into finding out where she was, and could they have found out where she was or any of her body parts. And then based upon his location data, then he also pled guilty to improperly disposing of a body. What does these guilty charges mean, and how is that going to come into trial? Is it going to come into trial? We're not sure. Trial is set for Monday, December the 1st. So buckle up because we're going to go ahead and cover every aspect of this trial. Juries, they chose 16 jurors. Will the 16 jurors be there on Monday after this long holiday? Who knows? And we added something new. We're going to add a picture of Mr. Michael Proctor, former trooper, Massachusetts State Trooper Michael Proctor. When Michael Proctor comes up in each and every one of these cases, we'll put him up there just as a reminder. Will Proctor's texts come into play, and how will that play out? We do know that the prosecution isn't calling Michael Proctor, and I wonder why, but that the defense is calling Proctor. So we'll see. That will be very interesting to see how that plays out. Next up, we have Miles King. Why is Miles King so important? Again, we're talking about, so Miles King is on trial for the alleged crime of murdering Marquis Simmons, and he is being represented by Rosemary Scapiccio. She is a force to be reckoned with, and I cannot wait to see her in action. She she is definitely a victims advocates right person. Not necessarily victims, but I mean, she is a great criminal defense attorney. In Massachusetts, there is a huge problem with discovery and discovery issues, and how and what and why. She has been a force of nature in reference to she's the discovery queen, really. And in Miles King's case, the Commonwealth, Adam Lawley specifically, he had received the case and he just sort of just let things just go. And Michael Proctor is definitely involved in this case. He was the lead investigator on this case, and he failed to give the defense, he failed to give the prosecution affidavits for search warrants, etc. And that led to Miles King getting out of jail, in allowing him to get bail because of this lack of discovery. And in Massachusetts, it's just ho hum. We'll get to it when we get to it. And as you're going through the process, you say, okay, has discovery been given? Has discovery been given? And Rosemary Scapiccio is like, no, judge, no, judge. We've asked for this. We've asked for this. No, 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 no. And the prosecution's like, we'll get to it. No, no rush, no need for justice or anything. We'll get to it. And also in the Marquis Simmons, in this Miles King case as well, it also came up that the Proctor text from Karen Reed's federal case needed to be divulged to them. And then, as well as, remember, they downloaded Proctor's personal phone, and now we've got a whole bunch of data from that. What will come up in Miles King's case? Again, this next week is going to be super busy. Like, if you thought, hey, no, they're just going to settle down because the Christmas holidays are coming up. No, buckle up, babes. This next week is insane. Each one of these cases that we are going over is going to be in court this week. I kid you not. Everybody's got their hands in something, if not this week, then later on this month. Everybody's going to be in court this month. So, Brian Walshe, December 1st. Miles King, December 4th. Stay tuned. We're going to see whether or not they're going to start going forward and finding out if there's going to be an actual trial date on that one. Justice for Marquis Simmons, right? He is the victim in this case. Next up, we have Aidan Kearney versus Massachusetts. As we have mentioned before, this is Robert Cosgrove. He is the special prosecutor on Aidan Kearney's case because nobody in the Norfolk DA's office could touch this case with a 10-foot pole. So they hired a special prosecutor. Kearney is being accused of intimidating witnesses in the Karen Reed trial. Don't worry, you want to know who those people are? We're going to get to them because they just keep coming back up and up and up. This whole case, well, it's the gift that keeps on giving. We're going to be given more and more and more. So, Special Prosecutor Cosgrove finally responded. Go back to my show playlist under Aidan Kearney. You'll see Cosgrove responded. Oh, let's see, the eve of November the 25th. And is that a strategic play on his part? Well, it seems that it's going to work out. Remember that this week, December the 5th, Aidan Kearney was going to have his motion to dismiss finally given to the court. Well, that's not going to happen. So sad news for Turtle Boy. Since Cosgrove filed his late reply, the new judge, Judge Belazos, if I'm saying that correctly, has made an order. We're going to go over that in just a second. Made an order and said, sorry, not so sorry, that he orders the motion to dismiss scheduled for December 5th has been converted into a status hearing. Because the judge needs to, remember, he got a new judge. We don't know why Aidan Kearney got a new judge, but he's got a new judge. So here we are. The new judge, doesn't know much about this case, and he needs to go through the mega motion. He needs to go through this motion, and then the defense has to respond to Cosgrove's non-motion. And when I say non-motion, he really didn't answer the questions that were laid out by the defense. And again, a new status hearing via Zoom only is going to happen at 2:15 p.m. Now, Brian Walshe trial is happening in the same courthouse as this. Is this strategic? Did the new judge say, hey, we don't want all of this turtle boy action going on in the courtroom when Brian Walshe is going on? That would be maybe a distraction between the two. So maybe it's just like, we'll just have a quiet Zoom meeting between the parties. Will the courtroom be open? I doubt it, but we don't know. So let's go back. So, as I mentioned, Cosgrove filed his motion late on the 25th. The defense then has to file their response to this motion. Is that fair? No. Is there going to be repercussions because Cosgrove filed his almost 2 weeks late? No. Maybe the judge might say something, but I doubt it. It has been rumored, and I don't have confirmation. So remember, Cosgrove was we'll go back. This is Cosgrove right here. Cosgrove was a former judge in this district in the Norfolk County area. It is alleged that so he retired, but he can come back and he can prosecute cases because he's still an attorney. It is alleged that Judge Blazos has replaced Cosgrove. Is that a conflict of interest? I don't know. We're in the upside down, goofy world of Massachusetts, or Massachusetts, if you want to say. So who knows who's washing whose hands? Again, we've got Michael Proctor here. And why do we have Proctor here? Well, we do know that there have been some texts that Proctor has called Aiden some choice words. We don't know what those are just yet because we're waiting to get the information on that. And then if this continues on, will Aiden Kearney's team be entitled to all of the downloaded 10 million messages and stuff from his personal cell phone? Will that happen? We don't know. Stay tuned. And finally, will Aiden ever get his day in court? Again, we're talking about all of these other prior cases, and everything just for Aiden, it's just continuing to kick the can down the road. His attorneys and Aiden have to be thoroughly, thoroughly frustrated at this process. And when is enough enough? Again, if you're frustrated, can you just imagine how frustrated they are? And again, this is someone's life on the line. This is Aiden Kearney's life. He is being charged with witness intimidation and could spend the rest of his life in jail. So he's on pins and needles right now. Doesn't look like it's not going to be solved before the end of the holidays. All right. So this is his order from the new judge. There's going to be a Zoom meeting on December the 5th at 2:15 p.m. I'll keep you updated on what the latest with that is. Next up, we have Karen Reed's civil case. Well, I shouldn't say it's Karen Reed's civil case. It's really the O'Keefe family versus Karen Reed. So I should probably change the title of this. And I've broken it out because now we have several different distinct cases. So let's recap. Karen Reed was accused of killing her boyfriend, John O'Keefe, by backing into him with her SUV. She had 2 trials. The first one was a mistrial. The second one, she was acquitted. Karen Reed did not hit John O'Keefe with her car. A car did not hit John O'Keefe. The O'Keefe family, which consists of Paul O'Keefe and I wrote this, Peggy O'Keefe, John O'Keefe, the parents, and the niece are suing Karen Reed over wrongful death. And they're also suing the bars that they went to, C.F. McCarthy's and Waterfall from Canton, Massachusetts. They're suing all of these people, saying that, Karen Reed was negligent, and that the bars had served her. She did get an OUI. Does that mean that the bars are responsible? There's a lot of what ifs, what have you, because Karen didn't actually order some of the drinks. John did. So how many drinks did she have? How many drinks did she not have? Even though she got an OUI. So those things play out, and it's quite interesting to see how they're going to go ahead and put that all together. So on the last hearing that we had, we kind of covered this a little bit. The plaintiff, which is Paul O'Keefe and all those suing Karen Reed. Karen Reed is the respondent in this case. They are consolidating her case and the civil case only for discovery, but they do not want it severed. They do not want it to be all put together. So currently right now, we have two separate cases. We have the O'Keefes suing Karen Reed civilly for wrongful death. There's going to be another motion status hearing on December the 19th at 2 p.m. via Zoom, and that is where this case lies. Then Karen Reed filed her own civil case, Karen Reed versus everyone, or House defendants / other people. So let's just kind of go over. If you don't know, I'll tell you who's who. This is Jennifer McCabe. This is Matt McCabe. This is Brian Albert. This is Nicole Albert. This is Trooper Michael Proctor. This is Trooper Yuri Buchanan. This is ATF Officer Brian Higgins. On the night of the alleged event in the death of John O'Keefe, Karen Reed and John O'Keefe were at two bars. They went to the Waterfall bar where these people here were there, the troopers not. We don't know exactly what happened, but they invited Karen Reed to go to Brian Albert and Nicole Albert's house for another party. Matt and Jen McCabe. Jen McCabe is related to Nicole. They are sisters. So, Brian Albert was also a Boston police officer. He has been since retired. Brian Higgins is still an ATF officer, but has been reassigned. They go over to the Albert's house. Long story short, something happens to John O'Keefe. He ends up dead on the lawn. Did Karen Reed do it? Did John fall, bump his head, ended up in the lawn? Nobody saw his body on the lawn. Karen Reed discovered him in the morning. Did John O'Keefe go into the house? Was there a fight between Brian Higgins or somebody else, and that he gashed his head and they covered it up and put his body back on the lawn? He apparently had some scratches and looks like dog bites on his arm. Brian Albert and Nicole Albert had a German Shepherd who is prone to biting people. Did John get into a scuffle with the dog and encountered the dog somehow outside and hit his head? And then later on, they discovered John's body and didn't know what to do and threw him on the lawn. Remember, everybody was very intoxicated. All of these, Brian Albert and Brian Higgins, started drinking at 4 p.m. that night. The incident with John O'Keefe occurred somewhere around 12:30 in the morning. They all have been out drinking. Karen Reed was drinking. John was drinking. Everybody was heavily intoxicated. But Karen Reed is suing everybody. And why? So this is Trooper Michael Proctor. This is Yuri Buchanan, both Massachusetts State Police officers. Proctor has been fired for bias against Karen Reed in Karen Reed's case. Yuri Buchanan has been rehomed. He's now in another division. She is also adding the town of Canton and the Massachusetts State Police to her suit. She is suing everyone for charges relating to the death of Mr. O'Keefe. And she is saying that gross misconduct of Massachusetts State Police, those working in tandem with the police to shield from the liability of the party or parties responsible for the death of John O'Keefe. The town of Canton and Massachusetts State Police will be added later on to the suit. Karen filed the suit in Bristol because that's where she is. But ding, 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 there's a twist in this case. The House defendants, which consist of consist of all the parties, right? All the parties are wanting this to be switched from Bristol County in Massachusetts to federal district court. And how and why? If it gets switched to federal court, then it won't be televised. No cases are televised in federal court, but it is still open to the public. And believe it or not, this still is a very, very, very public case. And all these characters are going to be deposed. And in a deposition, they can be asked anything because they're not on the stand. They're not in front of a jury. They're not in front of a judge. They can be asked anything. This is a little bit different than the grand jury. In the grand jury, they can be asked things as well. But specifically, the prosecutors in a grand jury ask them specific questions that will hopefully lead to an indictment. We won't see the depositions that are going to be held in this case. Unfortunately, maybe at some point way down in the stratosphere, they might come out. But for the public, we won't see them. But their information will be given out when the cases come to court. So the House defendant said that they also want to countersue and bring Aidan Kearney in because it is alleged that Aidan Kearney has conspired with Karen Reed. So they want that information to come in. So everybody is suing everybody. Again, it's a lovely case, and we will get to see how it plays out. Just FYI, civil cases take a very, very, very long time. This could take anywhere between 5 to 10 years. So it might be on the case catch up for many years to come. All right, next up we have Corey Richins versus Utah. Corey Richins is being accused of killing her husband, Eric Richins. Not once, but twice. In February, she gave him a fentanyl sandwich, and he had an allergic reaction to it. And in that, he almost died, but he didn't. And so in March, she gave him a Moscow Mule, where she gave him 5 times the fentanyl dose. It's alleged. She's innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. This is starting to come to trial as well. She was alleged to have given him a Moscow Mule with the 5 times of fentanyl, and he passed away. So if you want a further deep dive into the Corey Richins case, just go back into the playlist and look at all of the stuff that I've done prior. It gives in great detail what exactly happened and how and when she did everything and why it took so long. Long story short, recently in the news, she was hoping to get bail. The bail was denied. A witness changed up their story, saying that he did not provide the go-between between Corey and this person. He did not provide fentanyl. He provided pills or opioids. In the end, the judge said it doesn't really matter if he's changed his testimony. Other evidence is going to come in that she said that she wanted fentanyl. She has text messages between her and the go-between. It's not going to make much of a difference, and so no bail for Corey. She is also being charged with financial crimes. She forged bank documents. She basically copied and pasted her information, but put his bank account information in there to show that she had money. That's a forged information so that she can get loans. That's going to be, she's initial appearance for that in December 5th. So currently in her case, remember what I said, a lot of things are popping off December 5th. There's going to be, obviously, the Brian Walshe case is happening. Aiden Kearney's happening. Corey Richins is happening. So there's going to be a pre-trial conference scheduled for December 5th. There's a motion to exclude expert witnesses in January. The walk the dog letter in January 8th, whether that's admissible. And jury selection is to begin in February. Now, there's been rumors or speculations and stuff that Corey wants this venue changed. The defense brought it back up. We don't know whether or not that is actually going to happen, so we will stay tuned for that. Hopefully, we'll get some more answers on the status of this case later on this week. All right, next up, we have Aaron Spencer versus Arkansas. This one is popping off left, right, and center as well. The prosecution and the defense have been given a timeline from the judge that all of these motions and stuff needed to be filed back and forth. All of the motions were due by November the 24th. So they're just left, right, and center throwing things back and forth. I did a deep dive on this earlier this week. So if you need a case catch up on that, go look at that. I'm going to have to do another one because more stuff is coming out. And it's just like, oh, you're not going to believe this. So long story short, let me do a small case catch up here. Aaron Spencer is being accused of second-degree murder in the death case of Michael Fossler. Michael Fossler has been accused of SAing Spencer's 14-year-old daughter. The night of this incident, Spencer was out looking for her. She wasn't in her bed. He ran Fossler off the road, told Fossler to get out. Fossler wouldn't get out. Finally, he did. Spencer used deadly force and recaptured his daughter. So they are, so I'm going to do an update on the latest court filings in the Aaron Spencer case. There's some missing camera footage. Does that sound familiar? Anybody say it together? 1, 2, 3. Karen Reed's trial, right? So there's a motion about that, and we'll go over that. He's using justification as a defense. Fossler's girlfriend is also been mentioned in some of the court filings. What did she know? Are charges being brought against her in this case? And what do we know whether or not how is she involved? There's also been filings about Spencer wanting the case to be dismissed. How is that going to play out? Is this going to go to trial? Currently, as I mentioned, the judge set a deadline for all the motions to be completed. We'll go back to that. So motions were due to be completed by November the 24th. Unfortunately, the defense has stated that the prosecution just evidence bombed them. That happens very frequently where they just give you a whole bunch of stuff and the defense is quickly trying to go through it and they're not going to make the deadlines scheduled here. So both the prosecution and the defense actually filed a motion to extend the deadline. What will that look like? We don't know. We don't have an order from the judge. We'll see if the judge will give an order. Maybe she'll say everything needs to be done before December the 17th. I don't know. But usually when a judge sets a case schedule, they really, really would like to adhere to it. Will everything come together? Will the defense and the prosecution agree upon all of the motions and everything to come together before the 17th? Or will they have to extend it out and remember, they want a motion to dismiss. They potentially want an evidentiary hearing. Can all of that be done in the month of December or earlier in January before this trial gets going? We don't know. And also just a reminder that Aaron Spencer is running for sheriff. That is correct. The current sheriff that is prosecuting this case and Spencer are doing a runoff for sheriff later on in November of 2026. So it just can't get any better. So that is all that I have in reference to the Friday case catch up. Are you surprised by any of the information? Are you excited for some of the information? Again, all of these things are going to play out and then boom, it's all just going to happen all at once. So buckle up because you're going to see my face lots of times. So I try to keep these things a little bit short so you just get a quick recap. So I hope that you had a wonderful holiday. Hopefully you're spending time with family and friends, or you're just getting some time to relax from work. This is all that I have in reference to Friday Case Catch Up. We'll see you on the next one. Make sure you like and subscribe for more content. Thank you for watching. Thanks for watching Legalese 123. If you like what you saw, please like and subscribe for more content.